A classic tactic of these spiritual leaders, these mentors, these spiritual gurus, these abusers is isolation. My mentor was no different. She would actually get really pissed at me if she learned that I was deciding to go and hang out with friends. She wanted me at her apartment helping her as often as possible. I would spend about half the week at her apartment, away from my own partner. And I still remember how she would get when I would even mention going to hang out with friends. There was one time specifically, it was the night before our local Pagan Pride Day, and I was calling her because we were going to pick her up to take her to Pagan Pride Day because she was going to help out with one of the booths that we were doing there. We also had a friend that made jewelry and we helped him out, and then she wanted to do readings at Pagan Pride Day. It's like, okay. I called her to tell her about the time that we were going to pick her up. And then the argument happened because she was getting mad at me over the fact that she didn't have a new costume to wear to Pagan Pride. I'm not even sure how the argument started. I don't remember. I just remember it escalated into this thing where she's like, you said you were going to help me learn how to make a sloper so that we could make costumes and I could have new costumes. When are you going to make more time for me? Even though when I'd go over there, I'd help her clean or do the dishes or something. And then I started thinking about, okay, let me think about a time when I can come over and do that. And then I went, maybe Tuesday. I'm like, no, wait, I wanted to go and do this poetry slam that was over at the college and hang out with my friends. And she chewed me out saying all I ever wanted to do was spend time with my friends and never her. And she started to get really emotionally manipulative to the point where I started crying. I even tried to call her out on being manipulative. That did not work. It doesn't work, by the way. And she continued to ream me about this. And because of previous statements that she had made about my path ending with Loki, or her acting like my relationship with Loki depended on pleasing her, I was in such a terrible mindset. I started crying. And then after I got off the phone with her, I cried myself to sleep that night. And I barely got sleep because I was crying so much. And then the next day, we were at Pagan Pride and setting up everything. I was tired. I was drained. You want to know what all she had to say about it? First, she acted like she had to do a special ritual so she could feel better. 2, she fakes being possessed by Loki just for Loki to tell me, oh, you guys shouldn't do that. Shouldn't do what? Your freaking priestess being a manipulative. By the end of that day, I ended up super dehydrated, and I had forgotten sunscreen because my mind was in such a terrible space. And then she wondered why I got mean with her later. She tells people that I got mean to her the last month or so of our relationship, like I was such a bad person. No, the reason I started getting mean and nasty with her after a while was because of that, because I didn't want to keep letting that happen. She got real mad when I started setting boundaries. But yeah, she got so mad at me wanting to go hang out with people that weren't her. She just wanted me to do things for her and then tells people that I broke my oath or broke my word because I never got around to helping her make this or make that or do this or do that. And then after all was said and done, when we had our big break, she turned half the community, if not more, against me. So I was showing up to events with half my freaking community hating my freaking guts. Not only did she try to isolate me while we were together, she tried to isolate me by manipulating the way people saw me.